E85 Z4 Roadster by BMW. Back in 2002, BMW produced a two-door soft-top convertible pure driving roadster called the Z4. This car ran from 2002 to 2008, and you had many different variants. And what I want to do is kind of make a buyer's guide. So go over some common things that you want to look for, whether it's a 2.5, a 3-liter, or even the M. Let's go over what makes them unique, what engines you had, what transmissions. This guy was produced down in South Carolina, and then the second generation, the E89 Z4, was a two-piece hardtop, and then finally down to the G generation, which we've covered, is another soft top. Going back to the original, this was a pretty chocolate and vanilla chassis. 2 seats, convertible top, think Miata, think Boxster, basically a pure influence on just simply the driving experience. There's many differences between the M and the 3-liter and the 2.5, but you either had a 5 or 6-speed manual transmission, a 5 or 6-speed automatic, and then you even had a SMG transmission offering on the Z4. Highly recommend don't buying that. Do not buy it. But for the most part, the early generation Z4s were pretty stiff, they were very harsh, and you had BMW's M54 inline 6. Punchy little inline 6-cylinder engine. Moving on to the 3-liter and some of the older models, you had the N52. Then you had an SI model, which was sort of the sport package, little bump in horsepower, good suspension, good looks. And then ultimately you have, from 2006 to 2008, the M Roadster version. This is an M Roadster itself. If you can imagine BMW going down to the basement, finding a bunch of S54s left over, and then saying, go ahead, do what you want with it. That's what this car is. High-strung inline 6 S54, competition brakes, hydraulic steering rack, matted to the E86 M3 diff. Non-M models received electronic rack. When you're looking at these Z4s, there's a couple of different things you want to look for. That can cost you a lot of money. Now, if this is going to be a weekend car that you merely want to stick in the garage and take out on Sunday mornings, might not be a big deal. There was one design flaw on the E85. The top motor with a convertible top rests down in this cavity right here. Water gets in, collects when a drain gets clogged up, and the motor will eventually fry itself. In order to replace that motor, you have to remove the whole top assembly. There's aftermarket support for it. There's a couple different fixes. You can move the motor to the back of the trunk to prevent that from happening again. The second item on the convertible top are your hydraulic rams. The hydraulic rams can be rebuilt by a company that we utilize out Midwest called Top Hydraulics. That's not cheap. All told, getting the convertible top to operate up and down, especially if it's an electronic version, which most of them were, is not cheap. But if your top doesn't work, you buy a Z4 for 6 grand to 10 grand. You can let it sit in the garage and manually use it, or buy a cover and simply call it a fixed top roadster. A couple other things on the E85. Cosmetically, by now your grills, your kidney, down low are going to get scraped up. That's completely normal. Badging here, for the most part, can wear out. Your cowl windshield trim, we commonly see these dry out. Your windshield trim the same. Moving back to the top, sometimes they develop this sort of stain texture, whether they're left down or left outside too much. Pretty common. These antennas are known to fall off and crack. You can get a stubby online. Someone replaced this with a red, but the M's actually had a clear third brake light, whereas the normal non-M E85s had red. The M is obviously a little different. The wheels, front and rear bumper, hood, obviously you can see are a little different than a traditional Z4. Finding those items can be a little difficult, so you got to get creative if you own one of these. Doing this over the years, we found out that some of the cooling system items on the S54 are a little different as well. The architecture of some of the cooling system lines differs from the E46 M3, and during COVID, some of those parts were difficult to find. The taillights had 2 different designs. You can see it right here. This is your full face, and then I call this the half face. These guys are known to crack, especially here. You can find these used on eBay or even on Amazon. No big deal. Moving to the inside, it gets even more simple. The dash, you either had nav or non-nav. As you can tell, this is a non-nav unit. If you had a navigation unit, by now, almost 20 years down the road, those screens have become dull, faded, cracked, non-operating, don't come up, yada yada. There's an easy fix for that. Crutchfield has a lot of different radio retrofits that you can fit in to bring it up to 2025, 2026. Down here, if you had heated seats, you would have options for there. On some of your sport models, like the SI, you would have a sport button. Your unlock button gets shared with the E46. Some of the plastic trim on the inside of the car is known to prematurely fail and crack with time and heat. This piece up here gets very expensive. For anybody that is looking at a Z4, just know that you might have to get handy with eBay and finding some used parts. But for the simplicity of the car, that's kind of the magic of the recipe. Check it underneath the hood. Let's talk about maintenance and performance. This is an early generation Z4, so you have the M54 inline 6, much like the E46 and the other chassis that this engine was put in. You want to look out for common items like your gaskets, valve cover gasket, filter housing gasket, tensioner pulleys, the disavow. By now, some of your vacuum lines underneath the intake manifold and around it become dried and cracked out. It's very DIY friendly. The good thing about the Z4 chassis is that you have tons of room to work underneath this bay, and there's so much online that if you get into the car and you want to work on your own and do some maintenance, it's pretty straightforward. Coming over here to the Z4M, we've got the S54, which there's also a ton online about the S54, and all of us here at Atlas have owned S54s, and we've handled a significant amount of service work on this platform, but it looks at home. It looks like it was made for it. The S54 shoved underneath this little car is a riot. Common issues with this, again, rod bearings, the Vano system, performing a valve adjustment, making sure the fuel filter is done, hitting your intervals for service. It's very simple, very straightforward. N52 cars, some of your later inline 6, same thing, valve cover gasket, basic common items, spark plugs, ignition coils, making sure your gaskets are not leaking, oil pan, simple. Another big difference between the two, we touched on hydraulic versus electronic power steering. These guys can get sticky on some of these non-M Z4s. There's an adjustment on that you can typically do. Worst case scenario, the electronic rack, the sensor will fail and then it has to be replaced. Those are just some common items on the Z4. If you're looking for a Z4, give us a shout. Happy to walk you through our inventory. Even though these are simple roadsters, there's so much to cover between all of them. I hope that helps. If you're looking for a Z4, give us a shout at Atlas and we can help you find one.
Zach!
Jay, what's going on, man?
Hey man, on the spot, what BMW would you buy with your own money?
I would probably say a E70 X5 diesel. You can get those for pretty good value. They run great. You can get a lot of mileage out of them. Tune and delete them, make them quick. And they also get pretty good gas mileage. So that would probably be the safe bet, I would say. Yeah.
John, what BMW would you buy with your own money?
I'd buy a new M2 6-speed manual. I would buy a new M2 with a 8-speed automatic. I would buy a new M5, and I would get a M240i with a 6-speed.
What color?
To be determined. Oh, actually,
okay.
That frozen Portimao.
Yeah.
That's fire, dude.
That's it. Dan, what BMW would you buy with your own money?
If it's not the 76 2002 that I have at home that I bought with my own money,
Let it rip.
I want to get back into an E46.
Oh!
I want to get back into a daily driver like a ZHB, just like the MP has.
Manuel?
Yeah, of course. What is it, Jay?
That's a Manuel!
It's a Manuel.
Devin, I got a feeling you about to bring it, homie. What BMW would you buy with your own money?
Probably Eurospec E36 wagon manual,
Manuel.
preferably Boston green or purple.
This man has taste. Literally, I felt I got umami, I got salt, I got sweet, I got all 5 flavors up in there. Thank you for the depth of flavor on that, Devin.
Of course.